What's up guys, and welcome back to another Pokemon Sun and Moon coverage video with some more Mega speculation today for the Kanto region. So, as always, let's just jump straight in with our first possible Mega for today, which is Mega Hypno. So obviously Hypno is this pure Psychic type, been around since Generation 1 as all of these Pokemon have been, and it's not often used at all. You don't see it used in OU, I wouldn't think, or even UU. It's sort of down the chain, whereas a Mega Evolution for it would boost it up just enough to get it into those higher sort of tiers and make it more feasible. So what typing could a Mega Hypno be? Well, of course it could stay pure Psychic, or it could gain an extra type. In terms of what type that would be, it's a bit weird because obviously Hypno is just it's just your basic Psychic type, I guess. However, I thought of Psychic Ghost possibly, because Hypno is when it's introduced in Fire Red and Leaf Green, it's sort of in a creepy way, so it could, get a creepy vibe going on to it. And of course, it could also be Psychic Dark, I suppose, if you want to go for the creepy vibe. But I think Psychic Ghost would be the only other type you could really have for it that would make it fit. And in stat change wise, I would have to, see it as being, a special attacking and a special defensive tank almost. So like, it can do decent damage with its attacks, but also it can take a fair bit of damage from special attacks as well. Physical, attack and defense. Obviously, physical attack would be untouched almost. Physical defense, maybe get a small boost, and in terms of speed, maybe you can get a decent speed boost as well. So if maybe instead of having the special defense boost, you can have the speed boost instead, to make it a sort of bit faster, and as well as having some decent damage on it, but not amazingly fast. Obviously, it is Hypno. Just having maybe a good spread between special attack, special defense, and speed, make it all-rounded almost. Ability wise for a Mega Hypno, of course it can carry across one of its normal abilities, which is Insomnia, which prevents sleep, because that's what Hypno likes to do to other people. So Insomnia would be, I guess, a possibility, but it wouldn't be the best one, of course. One I thought of was Super Luck. It's a bit of a weird one. Don't usually see it talked about, because all it does is, I think it increases, or pretty sure it increases the critical hit ratio, which isn't the best thing to do. However, I think it would be sort of maybe fit with Hypno's sort of theme almost, if you think about it, being lucky and maybe along those lines, I don't know. It's a possibility, but the other one I thought of, which is would be better for it, is competitive, obviously meaning if any of your stats get lowered, then you get your special attack boost, similar to Defiance, it's just not as good almost. So competitive would be a possibility. It wouldn't be the you could have other ones to make Hypno as well. Maybe you could have the special version of Moxie that might work fairly well on it, especially with that little speed boost. But who knows? Apart from that, those are my ideas. Of course, if you have any, let me know down below. The next Mega we're going to have is going to be Mega Kingler. So, Mega Kingler, or Kingler in general, pure water type. In terms of what typing a Mega Kingler could be, well, of course it could stay pure water because it's a crab, why not? Or it could, get an extra typing added depending on the design. Of course, if its claws were to harden up into some form of hard metal, it could gain a water steel. It could gain steel typing and become water steel. It's a possibility. I think it would work fairly well. We haven't got too many water steel types. There's of course Empoleon, and I can't think of any more past that off the top of my head. So water steel would be pretty good, and obviously I'm pretty sure it gets some steel type moves that metal claw, stuff like that. I'm pretty sure it gets that it can make use of. Obviously if the design would have to aid that, of course, with the metalish claws. The other typing I thought of was Water Dark. This sort of relates to this Mega design we're seeing here with these sort of black claws, black sections on the claws. You could have it being a sort of a more menacing Mega Kingler with a Dark type, and of course that would be helpful as well. Get an extra type there. In terms of stat changes, I would have to say obviously physical attack would get a rise because it is a physical attacker. But physical defense could get a rise as well, especially if you get those those metal claws. It could definitely use those to protect itself, and I feel like its defense would be pretty good anyway. I mean, it's a crab, Crabs' bodies are pretty tough. I mean, maybe not to us, but to other animals, they are pretty tough. And crabs aren't, fish can't eat crabs because of the body. So you'd assume the defense would be reasonably high and get a bit of a boost there. In terms of its ability, it could carry across Kingler's normal hidden ability, I think it is, which is Sheer Force, which obviously powers up moves, but removes the secondary effects to them. So that'd be pretty good. Kingler. I don't feel like a Mega Kingler would actually rely on the secondary effects and moves. It would rely on pure power. So Sheer Force would work really well for it. In terms of pure power, obviously other abilities are a possibility. One is adaptability, getting that extra stab boost from water type moves, and also maybe steel or dark if it gains that extra typing. I feel that would be really good. I mean, if it's just adaptability, maybe not as good. No, if it's just a pure water type, wouldn't be as good because obviously you only get the benefit on one type of move, and if you can do damage with that move on the opponent because they're a grass type, for example, that's not really very effective. So if you're getting a steel or dark type, adaptability would be really interesting to see because obviously it powers it up nicely. The final one I thought of was Moxie. Now, although Kingler is obviously not the fastest Pokemon, with that decent defense boost, it could actually use Moxie pretty well. Take some attacks decently, as well as also it's not like you need the speed to actually make use of Moxie, because you can take one Pokemon out, for example, and then as long as you have a high enough defense stat to as long as the opposing Pokemon isn't amazingly strong Pokemon, for example, you could easily then use that Moxie boost to then take them out and get rolling from there, for example. Of course, wouldn't be that easy. It wouldn't be like Mega Kingler would be something you'd be able to sweep with, because obviously in the end you've got no health and restoration moves, so you'd have to switch out in the end, wish up or whatever, and you'd lose the attack boost, but it could be good for taking out 2 or 3 Pokemon. That's Mega Kingler though. As always, if you have any ideas in addition to that, let me know down below. Then we have a very interesting Mega here, Mega Electrode. So, as you can see for the design here, Mega Electrode would be a tricky one to do, because obviously Electrode is based on a Pokeball, same as Voltorb. Voltorb is based on an actual Pokeball, and Electrode is based on an upside down one. So Mega Electrode, yes, maybe it could be a Great Ball, maybe it could be an Ultra Ball, and Master Ball, I don't know. But it would be a tricky one to come up with a design for it. But obviously it's a pure Electric type. In terms of what a Mega Electrode could be type-wise, you've got to say pure Electric again. You can't really add any extra types to Electrode. Like, what would you add? Steel maybe, but then that makes it too close to the Magnemite line. So really pure Electric is the only typing I could see for an Electrode, or Mega Electrode rather. And in terms of stat change wise, I would say Electrode is already a pretty fast Pokemon with a decent special attack stat, so I would see it carrying them through to its Mega, getting a special attack boost, a speed boost, and a defense drop, because obviously you need to have some counteract. Maybe not a huge boost in special attack, special defense, but definitely either halt or no change, or a drop in defense just to counteract it, because it's going to have a decently high speed stat with this boost here. So obviously you want to counteract it somehow. Ability wise, it could carry across static, which is one of its basic abilities. It's a decent ability, why not? Or it could get an extra ability, a new ability, which I could think of was speed boost, and this would probably be too overpowered. I mean, it depends how you would equal it up. If the defense stat was really low, then of course it wouldn't be that it wouldn't be that overpowered, because obviously the minute you don't take them out in one turn, someone could just one-shot you. So it wouldn't be too overpowered if the defense stat was low enough. So really, it just depends on the stat change wise. But I couldn't think of any other abilities for Mega Electrode apart from these two, because what do you give Mega Electrode? Competitive maybe? Sure. What else? I can't think of anything else other than these two abilities. I just sort of hits a mental block in terms of ideas. That's Mega Electrode there. So then, with 4th Pokemon for today, we're going to have a look at a Mega Exeggutor. So obviously Exeggutor is a grass psychic type based on a coconut tree generally. So I mean, this Mega design is pretty cool. And the fact that the main 3 eggs sort of go off into its hands, I guess you can call them. I mean, normal Exeggutor doesn't have any hands, so for a Mega to grow hands, that'd be pretty nice. Pretty interesting, of course. But enough about design. In terms of, obviously Grass Psychic is normal Exeggutor. In terms of what typing a Mega Exeggutor would be, I can't see any change in that typing, because, Grass, obviously it's got to be there, because why not? And the Psychic is sort of just what makes Exeggutor and Exeggutor themselves. You can't really take it away. What would you change it for? Rock, possibly, because obviously it's a coconut tree, but it just doesn't seem to fit. So Grass Psychic, I'd have to say, keeps the same typing again. Then the stat change wise, I guess similar to Electrode, no, not similar to Kingler, having a special attack boost, a special defense boost, and a speed drop. So, to become this really, I don't want to say bulky, but, can attack, can hit decently hard, can take some decent attacks, but is now slower because obviously, it's bulks up a bit, for example. I think that would balance it out pretty well. Take some hits, kill some hits, and, just the speed just sort of mediates it, I guess. Ability wise, for Mega Exeggutor, carry across a normal ability, which would be Chlorophyll, doubles speed and sunshine. Yes, maybe that would sort of not fit with the speed drop, but of course you could use that strategy to counteract it. Have the sun up and then have Mega Exeggutor come in, gets the double boost from Chlorophyll, so of course then it can, for example, use Solar Beams over and over and maybe be faster than opponent Pokemon, as well as having a very high special attack stat. So that's a possibility there. Another one I thought of was Grass Pelt. I spoke about this a few episodes ago when I looked at Mega Vileplume. Grass Pelt is basically, it would double its defense if used on grassy terrain. Of course, this grassy terrain isn't used as much in the competitive scene as now it is, but if Pokemon are if Game Freak and Pokemon Company are looking to actually bring that into the competitive scene and use it a bit more, Grass Pelt on Mega Exeggutor would be an interesting way to do it. Just have a Pokemon set it up and then switch Exeggutor in, have it Mega Evolve, gets double defense from the grassy terrain, and of course, add that onto the special defense boost. You have a high special defense and then double physical defense, so you can take some attacks pretty darn well. The final ability I thought of here for Exeggutor, or Mega Exeggutor rather, would be Regenerator. I thought that would just make sense because obviously it's a coconut tree. It's a tree. Yeah, trees, they can take decent hits, and if you leave them for a while, they recover. So take Regenerator out. Switch them out of battle. They get a health point restoration. Not a huge amount, obviously. But it will just help, sort of be a nice, I don't want to say free healing, for example, but you can use Mega Exeggutor until it goes to half health, switch it out and bring it in a bit later on, because it wouldn't really need to set up, for example, you would just be able to attack with it. So that's Mega Exeggutor there, and let's look at the final Pokemon for today, which is going to be Mega Marowak. So, Marowak, obviously Cubone's mother from Generation 1, pure ground type. Now, what typing could a Mega Marowak be? Of course, it could stay pure ground, as always. But the typing I would really like to see from Mega Marowak would be a ground ghost type, because this design echoes it perfectly because of the sort of the design in general. But I feel like it would just really fit quite well, especially because the stories from Generation 1 about Cubone's mother being the ghost, Marowak, ghost from Pokemon Tower. It would just fit very, very well. Stat change wise, attack and defense boosts would be an ideal, because as you can see, at least with this Mega design here, you can see its bone has now changed from like a little normal thin bone to a big sort of bone with like an end on it, so obviously attack would make sense to get a boost there. Defense, I feel like I would get a boost too, maybe especially if Marowak gains some extra bones on its body like this Mega design has, because obviously that would make a lot of sense in terms of being able to take hits. But the speed drop is here because obviously it has a bigger bone now, so it might not be a bigger bone, especially if it's then covered in more bones as well. The bones are going to slow it down. It would make sense, but of course this would mean you have a very high attack boost to to balance that out. Ability for a Mega Marowak, Rock Head, I think is in one of Mega Marowak's normal abilities, so you could carry that across and get some recall moves in there like Double Edge and such to make some use of it. Or you can have a different ability, one being Technician. I feel like this would work fairly well, especially with moves like Bone Meringue, because obviously that has a low power. So you get a Technician boost there, and I'm sure there's several other moves from Mega Marowak to utilise with Technician, and with that attack boost it's going to be pretty darn good, and it's going to all add up and be pretty powerful. Or it could learn, or you could get huge power. Of course this depends on how big the attack boost is, because you don't want like a big attack boost and then huge power as well. You could have a smaller attack boost, maybe not as much of a speed drop, and then you have huge power in there to double the attack anyway. So it all depends on how the stat changes sort of move around as well as the abilities. But I'd love to see a Mega Marowak because I feel like it just deserves one, because it's not really used otherwise in the games and anything in general. But guys, that is the last Mega Evolution for today, so that's going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button and let me know what your thoughts are on these Mega Evolutions down below in the comments section. But for now, this is it for me. I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.